Hello, everyone. This is Glen Guyton, keynote speaker, workplace trainer, helping you transform your workplace with this morning's coffee break. And I do have coffee this morning. So, went back to coffee. Yesterday, I had some uh, carrot, turmeric, ginger concoction. It was good, but I need some coffee this morning. Well, today, I want to give you 8 things to think about because you might be a jerk, or your boss is a jerk, or you know somebody that's a jerk. First of all, let me say, don't be a jerk in the workplace. You can be a jerk in your personal life, at home, at church. If you want to be a jerk at church, I don't know why you want to be a jerk at church if you go to church, but don't be a jerk at work. And so why are people, bosses, jerky, right? Why do they have this jerk-like behavior? I've worked with a number of bosses, and I've been fortunate. I've had some really great bosses. Uh, and I've worked for a couple of jerks. I don't tolerate jerks well, so we don't we don't jive. So I don't stick around in those environments. That's a word of wisdom there. If you are a jerk, people are probably not going to stick around your. Well, they may stick around your workplace, but Glenn is not going to stick around the workplace if you are a jerk. So I wouldn't be working for you, and I'm sure there are more people out there like me that don't tolerate bad behavior from their bosses, right? And so we've talked a little bit about the importance of taking care of our resource, our human capital, human resources. Those are those people that make us look good, that allow us to have jobs, and that produce the stuff that we want them to produce. So we don't want to run them off because we are a jerk. And you might be a jerk. I need you to go look in the mirror and say, "Am I a jerk today? Am I a jerky boss?" Hopefully, the answer is no. But I think all of us can improve, right? As leaders, as executives, we can all improve and be better as we manage people. And I know when I was younger, when I was a younger leader, I might have been a little jerky, just a little tiny bit jerky. But why, right? I'm not trying to be mean to people. I'm not trying to run people off. But sometimes we aren't aware of our behavior and how it impacts our employees, their wellness, their productivity, those types of things. So that's why we don't want to be a jerk, right? We want to get the most out of our people. Uh, Slavery has ended. Um, we have, forced labor. All of these things aren't appropriate in the era that we live in. So 8 things I'm going to just talk about really briefly with you all this morning. So number one, power. Power, yeah, power. That's the first reason sometimes people become jerks, because now you have this power. You can do things to people. You have power over people. They are depending on you for various things. That's why we have abuse in the workplace. Why we have sexual harassment, other forms of abuse against people, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. That's because some people have power and they've never had this power before. People are depending on you to feed their families, to give them good reviews so that they can progress through the workplace. And so that power can corrupt some people if they've never had it before, if they don't know how to wield it properly. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of the power that you have over a person as a boss. Use that power wisely. I think it was the Spider-Man movie that says, like, to whom much is given, much is required. That's actually true. That's some wisdom. It might be some Marvel wisdom, but that's some wisdom. So be mindful of power dynamics at work. And when you are the boss, people interact with you differently. Don't think you're just Joe or Jenny or Travis or whatever. No, you are the boss. As cool as you want to be as the boss, you are still the boss. You know, I thought I could just be Glenn when I got promoted to different ranks in the military, or when I got promoted in my other professional job, when I became the executive director of an organization. No, it wasn't just Glenn. You were speaking with the full weight and authority of whatever rank you have or whatever position that you have. And you need to be mindful of that. And so you think you're cool and you're just joking around with people, but those jokes hit differently when you are the boss. And that's how we get in trouble, man. Sometimes, especially as men, with sexual harassment and things we say and things that may have been innocent when we were peers, power makes a difference. Power makes a difference. Number two, stress and pressure. I talked a little bit about the weight of leadership in other broadcasts, but it's a real thing. So sometimes your boss may be a jerk because they're just tired. Uh, they have their boss putting pressure on them. Their boss may be a jerk, and so they're putting pressure down the line. They're stressed. They haven't had their morning coffee, and they just don't know how to act. I'm drinking Pete's coffee, by the way, the Major Dickinson brand. In case you're interested in what kind of coffee I'm drinking, I can't drink too much of it because I think it has a lot of caffeine. I don't know. Sometimes my eye starts twitching if I drink too much of it. But stress and pressure will make your eye twitch too. High levels of stress and pressure sometimes make us act like jerks. So as a boss, you need to take care of yourself. Employee wellness is a big deal, but you need to be well too in order to care for your people effectively. Number three, modeling behavior. I think I've kind of touched on this a little bit. Some bosses might emulate their own past supervisors. Like, who was the worst supervisor that you've ever had? Don't be that person. Who's the best supervisor that you've ever had? Be that person. Now, hopefully you have good judgment and you don't want to emulate jerky bosses. You don't want to emulate bad behavior. Don't do that. But on our leadership journey, we often learn, it's learned behavior, right? We learn how to be leaders from other leaders, and so we model that behavior. Hopefully you've had good role models. If not, go find you one. Some people just lack, number four, some people just lack emotional intelligence. They don't get it. They don't understand why these things are important. They hate diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives. They don't understand why people can't just do what they're supposed to do. They can't fit in. They don't understand the pressures of people that are different from them. And that's really understanding differences helps us with emotional and intelligence. Understanding and not judging these differences. People have different things going on in their lives that you don't have going on in your life, and so you don't understand it. But your job as a leader, as an executive, is to find those things out as you manage people, so that you can do it more effectively. And I think I had to grow as a young man. I had to grow and learn a little bit more empathy. Um, Understand it wasn't my way or the highway, and I'm sure a couple of people thought I was a jerk along the way. They still might think I'm a jerk, but that's okay. Look, I say it's okay because sometimes people just think you're a jerk because you're holding them accountable. That's different from being jerky and not being aware of what you're doing. I make some intentional decisions to hold people accountable for their behavior, and sometimes I'm holding jerks accountable for their behavior, and they think I'm a jerk because I know that they are a jerk and I'm holding them accountable. So I could use a pun there, but I'm not going to do it because I don't think it would be appropriate. I'm using my emotional intelligence, and I'm going to move on. Next, organizational culture. Talked about this in a previous broadcast. The culture of the organization significantly influences how we treat people, what behaviors are tolerated, which behaviors are expected and accepted. So be mindful of that. I use an example of the Waffle House. In the Waffle House, you might get punched in the face, right? You may throw a chair. The supervisor might throw some grits on people. I mean, maybe. I don't. Maybe. I've seen some videos at the Waffle House. Looks like some craziness goes on in the Waffle House. That's just the organizational culture, right? If you're there watching someone cook your food, you might just be inclined to slap someone, which is not appropriate, I should say. But when you walk into into Waffle House, you're not walking into the Four Seasons, right? You're not walking into a five-star restaurant. You're walking into the Waffle House, and so you have to stand on business when you go into the Waffle House environment, that organizational culture. Next, inadequate training. Training, they don't know what to do, so they're lost and they're scrambling to figure out what to do. That's number six. When it comes to your boss being a jerk or you being a jerk, if you need training, go get it. We sometimes have to teach people how to behave. And that's one of the things that I do when I help people to think about wellness, to build trust in organizations and get the most out of diverse teams. That takes some training. It's just not a natural thing for probably anyone. Some people are more empathetic. Some people have more emotional intelligence. But how are these things connected to the organizational culture that you want to connect? You need some training. You need to resource your people. You need to give them the tools that they need, and maybe you need to go get some training. You need some care. You need some coaching. Invest in yourself. It's so important. Invest in yourself. I put a link to an article um, in the description for this, so go check out that article. I didn't write it, but I thought it was a thought provoking article. Check it out and find out where you can get some training. You can call me. I'll help you with that. Other things that are going on. Number 7, psychological factors. There may be some things about the person, just personality things that we don't know what is going on, and people have different mental capacities, and so sometimes we need to do some testing when we hire employees, some personality tests. They aren't the end all be all, but they will inform you about people. Talk to people, interview people, find out where they are emotionally. This person just might be a jerk, and they don't need to work in your organization. So that goes into human resources, who we hire, how we hire, the processes that we use to vet people, and we have to vet people as they rise through leadership. Especially if you want to get the most out of your employees. That's what this really is about, right? Getting the most out of your employees, being fostering a culture of innovation, creativity. People have to be emotionally engaged to do that. And so if the jerk boss is supervising them or lying about them, you're not going to get the best out of your teams. And I've worked on some teams like that where the supervisor took the credit for everyone else's work. Supervisor couldn't do a thing, was not qualified at all. But he had to gift the gab. But it was all about him. It was all about him and not about supporting the team or supporting the mission of the organization. And when he eventually left, you just found out that he really didn't have the skills. Other people were propping him up, and so when he left, we didn't miss a beat. Next, feedback and accountability. That's the last thing that I want to share. That's number 8, feedback and accountability. In some cases, bosses have not received honest feedback, and their behavior from their peers. They haven't received honest feedback about their behavior from their peers or uh, from their superiors, and so without that feedback, they think they're doing the right thing. Sometimes we can reinforce bad behavior, so you need to tell people about themselves or have a process in place where you give regular feedback, and this is not just once a year. Do you want somebody being a jerk for a whole year to you? No, no. Feedback needs to be a little quicker than that. You need to have processes in place where um, you can hold people accountable, where subordinates can share information about what's going on without the fear of retribution. Now, there's always consequences, but without the fear of this, like a whistleblower. You don't want people fired because they're doing the right thing or they're sharing the right information. And so we have to be gracious in receiving this information if we are senior leaders, if we're responsible for managing the process. So don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk. Look for these things in your organization or in your own leadership style. So we talked about 8 things today: power dynamics, stress and pressure, modeling behavior, lack of emotional intelligence, organizational culture, inadequate training. Get trained if you need it. Um, Psychological factors, which is how the person is wired, and feedback and accountability. That feedback and accountability is always important. It should never be a surprise to someone that their behavior is unacceptable at work. There should be processes in place all along their leadership journey that gives them open and honest feedback from a number of sources. Don't wait for the annual review to tell somebody that they are behaving poorly or that they're doing a great job. Let people know real time what's going on, and I think it just fosters a better workplace. So hopefully you have a great day, leaders. I I appreciate you. I appreciate the sacrifice that you've made to rise to your position. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of your people. Don't be a jerk. Stay hydrated. This is Glen Guyton, your workplace trainer, keynote speaker. Have a wonderful rest of your day.